What's up, Tweeners? Welcome back to another Tweener tennis video today here on the channel. And today we have Riley Opelka's coach back on the channel, and I'm very grateful to have him back here because today he's going to be helping you guys out, yes, you, for what junior tennis players need for the 2022 season. And not only for the junior players, but for what the parents of these players and coaches of these players need to be doing to helping their kids succeed. Now, I'm very happy that he was able to explain all this. He's been doing a lot of great stuff on social media and on his website to help juniors coach while he just became a father. Congratulations to him. So make sure to go check out his programs down in the description below. And I hope you guys do enjoy this video. If you did like this video, make sure to show your appreciation by hitting that like button. It really does help this video get around to more people on the YouTube sphere, as well as making sure you're subscribed to Tweener Tennis. We're trying to get to 2,500 subscribers by the end of the month, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Enjoy. Thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I know you have a newborn, juggling, doing your online training. How you been, man? It's been a while.
It's been great. It's been fun to be home, to be a dad, to work with juniors consistently on a daily basis. I've actually missed that because it's just different than working with pros. And, you know, it's been a lot of fun. And then being home, seeing family, friends all the time. You know, obviously Australian Open's coming up and I'm in contact with Riley and even his new coach. And, you know, I watch his matches. I'm excited for him. And there's that little bit of, oh, man, but it'd be nice to be there, and especially when he gets a win. But I'm happy being home.
It's at least you don't have to be as stressed traveling to Australia. And I think that's the greatest relief of all time for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, the travel, gosh, the amount of hours I've spent at airports just sitting waiting, and the amount of hours I've spent on planes just waiting to get to the next destination. Tennis is one where up until then, on what I'm doing now with my online, there's just not a lot you can do sitting on a plane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've watched a few too many movies.
Well, you definitely deserve it with the amount of time you spend on court with Riley and the dedication you show. And the reason why I wanted to bring you on today was you've been posting a lot of the activity you've been doing with junior players and kind of a good shift in terms of how you deal with them. And I wanted to bring you on to show and kind of talk about what juniors need in particular, as well as their coaches and parents for the 2022 season. So for you, and I like on your Instagram too, like 7 things a junior tennis player's environment must have to make it to a Division I with homeschooling. I love that topic. But to keep it more on a broad spectrum, what are some things that juniors need in terms of a training environment for this upcoming 2022 year?
Well, there's no shortage of drills anywhere.
Okay.
Drills are everywhere. They're not the right drills, but drills are everywhere. I don't think anyone's going to have a trouble finding drills. What I think parents need to find and kids need to find is practice matches first. We don't play enough practice matches. And that comes from, I understand the business side of it, to where these academies try to fill up all their courts. And when you have so many kids on the courts, you can't spread them out to play matches. I get the revenue side, and so I understand why that happens. But parents and players, you need to find a way to get practice matches in. I mean, you should be playing at least 2 a week. If you can play one, you're already ahead of most people. Just one day of just practice matches. Because if you think about what the pros do to prepare even college players, right? Let's not even go. And also what homeschooled kids do. So because they have all the time in the world to play all this,
of course,
they play multiple practice matches in the week leading up to a tournament, maybe 4 or 5. You know, they're playing 7, 8 sets in that week. Most junior kids play 0 sets,
which is crazy.
So if you play 0 sets, how are you supposed to practice the mental toughness of a match, the up and down, the strategies, the decision making, and also the fitness? You know, if you're simply doing drills all the time, good portion of it is half court drilling. You're not running side to side the whole time. You're not walking around the whole time. So it's also more energy to play a full practice match, especially if you play 2 out of 3 sets once you get into that age range. So definitely playing practice matches so you can understand how to develop your strategies. What are your strengths? How are you going to use them? How are you going to set them up? What are your weaknesses? How are you going to hide them? And So we need to play those practice matches to figure all that stuff out. If you can do it with a coach, even better. A little hard, but I mean, there's a way to do it. But yeah, get those practice matches in. The other part would be full court drilling.
Okay.
Which is another thing that's really hard to get because most academies have their kids filled up.
Okay.
I'll have the courts filled up with kids.
Yeah.
So, if you look at a lot of the drilling that most pros do, it encompasses running around a full court. So a classic drill is one player will hit 2 balls cross court and the third ball down the line.
Yeah.
Their partner is hitting every ball cross court. So when one player changes direction down the line, the other player runs over, goes cross court, 2 cross court, 1 down line. So you get to work on changing direction. You get to work on running to a ball and having to control it to a certain spot.
Yeah.
And then also having to be consistent with it. So working on drills that encompass full court movement. I mean, most drilling that happens they happen within a half court drilling. They do a lot of half court games. You're having to move 3-4 steps, if that. When you do full court, you could be moving 10, 12 steps from one corner to the other. So if you only show up on Saturday to play and you're just now having to play full court for 2 hours, it's hard to keep that up. You can do it for a period of time, and especially 2 matches in one day, which is what most juniors play. They play 2 matches in one day. So how are you going to get that in there? And then it goes with it as well, but footwork.
Okay.
If you don't have good footwork, you're not going to be a good player. It's impossible. Sorry, it's a non-negotiable.
No, it's true.
At some point, you're gonna get to the point where your opponent can move you around, so you have to be able to move the ball. If you're not having to move, your opponents aren't good enough yet. At some point, if you keep progressing, you're gonna get to those opponents. So having good footwork patterns, the right footwork patterns, because you don't simply just try to step in on every ball. It's when do you use open stance? When do you recover backwards? When do you close? How do you move to a ball that's short and angled away? There's a bunch of different stuff. So I would say those 3 things. And then finally, start doing fitness. So there's certain things that kids can't do just because they're not strong enough. Yeah. They're actually trying their best to do it, but they're not strong enough to support a full sprint on the run, stop, control an open stance hit, rotate those hips, and follow through. It's a very explosive movement. So now do that for 2 hours in a match. If you're getting the gym, it makes tennis actually easier so that when they're with the coach, it's just easier to execute. So those things just straight off the top of my head that if I had a junior working with, I would ask those things. Are you doing these things first?
Every point that you've just said, I totally agree with. And from me trying to get back into shape last year, the person I was working with, Adam, was telling me every day, tennis starts with your feet, and you need to, if you don't have good footwork, you're not going to be a good tennis player. And that's the first lesson that he taught me when I started getting back into it. And ever since then, it's the only thing I hear from coaches now. And so I totally agree with that statement. And the off-court work that you put in is definitely going to reflect how you do on court. And I feel like with a lot of these kids, it's really hard to translate that into what they see as progress on the court, because they think, oh, I played 2 hours of tennis today, I don't have to do anything else. And then they do the next day, and then they're losing their matches.
And I wrote that article and I put it out for subscribers on my website, but I do want to put some of that out to the public, which I laid out these things that are the things you have to do to make it to Division I without homeschooling. And the reason I put that is because there's a bunch of kids that are homeschooling. Yeah. And they are doing fitness, and they are moving their feet, and they are doing footwork drills, and they are playing practice matches. Yeah. So if you're not doing those things, it's let's just say almost impossible to catch up to them. It is. And there's nothing you can do. You can have the best 2 hour practice. If you never play a practice match, you never do fitness, and you never work on footwork, you cannot be as good as people who are doing it. So that's the thing. Now, I know it's a lot of time to put these things in place. This is one of the things for parents. You have to organize these practice matches a little more. Being a tennis parent is a second job. It's a second job.
I was gonna say it sucks, but it's just so much work that you have to put in order to see your kids succeed. And what you talked about on Parenting Aces was amazing in terms of how parents are able to kind of just, they need to be involved. It's not like their kid can do everything else for them unless they're 16 and they have a driver's license. They can't schedule anything without their parents being there for at least an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah. And that kind of stinks because really the coaches should be doing all this stuff. But like I said, there's a problem where most academies are really focused on you got to get revenue. So I get it. When they have so many kids, it's impossible to give everyone individual attention. So unless you find a way to just go to a smaller academy with less kids where the coach can give each kid more attention, that's where the parent has to get really involved. That's where I've actually tried to center my business around is I work with few kids and give the parents the attention. I tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Hey, we need a practice match this week. Hey, no, you don't need a practice match this week. Hey, today your child has the day off. Tomorrow they need to do fitness. Yeah. Because if not, it's a guessing game for them.
Yeah.
And they have a hard time actually reaching out to these coaches because it takes a lot of time to plan this stuff. I'd love to get your take because you've been doing this for yourself as you've been getting back in shape. Think of how much time you have to put in to just organize it just for yourself. So now have a full-time job, and then you have to do it as a parent. You're hoping the coach can help, but they're also trying to sneak in as many private lessons as they can. Yeah. So to get that time with them, to help them communicate with you and help you organize, it's not happening, sadly. We get the business side of it. We get it. We understand why the pros are on the court, but you know what, parents, let's just be straight up. This is what's happening. You need help. So this is how we have to kind of work around it.
And since I have a limited time with you, I would love to tell you my side of it. But for me, let's transition to that parents kind of role for the kids and juniors. What do parents, besides scheduling and driving, what else do parents need to do?
They need to be communicating with the coach, on a pretty consistent, it's because the coach needs to be aware of what's going on. The coach needs to know if the child is going on vacation at some point, or if there's a birthday coming up. How do they schedule that? Hey, how's my child doing at practice? Is everything going? You need to go watch a few practices. I know it's hard. Sometimes we want to drop them off and leave them, but you got to watch a couple every now and then, because how do you know that that's the right academy place? Yeah. Sometimes when the child is a little too happy, they're having too much fun there.
I'm definitely that coach.
But if you're just going off what your child says, oh, I'm having a great time, I'm learning, I'm getting better. Okay, great. But they don't know what the right environment is supposed to be. Yeah. And if the coach isn't telling them to move their feet because they're too busy trying to manage 10 other kids, a parent can kind of see, look, my child didn't even move their feet for an hour and a half. They were talking more than half the time. They weren't focused. This isn't what I'm looking for. So, or at least this isn't the goals that my child's put out and says he wants to accomplish. This environment isn't going to help. So you have to watch that a little bit. And then one final thing is find a way to get their matches watched by a coach. So that was something that, look, if no one's watching your child play, how do you know they're doing the right or wrong things like on match day? And how does the coach know what to work on? So that's one of the things, if you can find a way to get them a coach watching a match, either recording video or something, I think that's what's missing, because everything else is in play, drills and all that. There's an overabundance of tournaments in most areas. So, I think these are the things that is missing in junior tennis right now.
And to transition over to the coach's point of view, I think your Instagram post that you posted of like, is your coach watching your match, was probably the most like mind blowing. It's so simple, but it's so effective in how you create a relationship and how you are able to get a kid better or a grown up better just to watch them play. So besides that, what else does a coach need to do?
The coach?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're watching a kid, well, help them organize practice matches.
Yes.
Because one of the things I've found with a lot of parents and a lot of other kids, I'm not sure. Maybe it's because most of my friends were tennis players, so I just had an easier time in Miami finding practice matches.
Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of the kids I teach, their parents have trouble organizing practice matches for them because
In what way?
They just don't play practice matches. They'll say no, and
They'll say
if
no. Wow.
yeah, they'll be like, okay, yeah, maybe in the future, and they can never get a match organized, and it's because kids only want to practice against other kids that have higher UTRs. I think that's one of the things. So that's troubling. Then also, if they're playing a practice, most kids go to drills 3-4 days a week.
Yeah.
So if they're not playing a practice match, or if they're not going to drills, or if they want to play a practice match, they kind of have to skip drills one day.
Yeah.
So then the parent is like, well, do I go pull them out of drills, but I paid for those drills?
Exactly.
So there's that mix where, I mean, I think that's where coaches can help parents organize practice matches. Kind of look, if you're doing the right thing for the kid and they're coming to drills 3 days a week and they're not playing any practice matches, I think a coach should tell the family, if you're trying to be a competitive tennis player and you have high aspirations, don't come to drills one of these days a week. Only pay for 2 days or 1 day, whatever. Just pay for 1 day less, and you have to play a practice match.
Interesting.
That's what's best for the kid. It's not best for the academy, that's for sure. Sorry, academies. I know I'm hurting your revenue, but you cannot tell me that you're going to have a kid at drills for 3-4 days a week, not have them play a full practice match that week, and tell them in their face, you are fully prepared to play a tournament this weekend and you're on the right track. It's just a bold-faced lie. So let's just be honest. And hopefully I think coaches can try to restructure a little bit. Look, find a way to get the revenue a little differently.
Yeah.
You know, charge the same, but structure it a little differently so that they can get these things in there. And then we all know we need practice matches. So why aren't they happening? Why aren't they part of the academy drills in the afternoon? Find a way to structure it. And I think we'll know like how good a kid can be.
I think for me, that was one thing that I was told at 14, and I never really took it seriously because I thought just practicing and playing during my lessons and just having other people around me would work, but it really didn't. And I totally see where you're coming from now, and you sound very passionate, and that's what's I sound like it's going to be the title of this video. Just kids need practice matches featuring Riley Opelka's coach. So it's fascinating. And I actually wanted to ask you, you touched on a point, and I'll make this my last one too. At which point, because I think tennis parents or parents that are involved with their kids get really, I guess, labeled by others as like a crazy tennis parent for going to their matches, going to their practices, writing notes, talking to the coaches. And some of them are seen as like a very involved parent. Is that something that they should be afraid of when it comes to kind of organizing and being involved with their kids' life? Or is that just something that needs to be kind of put to the side and be normalized, I guess?
I'm going to kind of stick up for crazy tennis parents here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that they can get crazy because look, the junior tennis process is a difficult one, and is an emotional one, and it's your child. So how are you not going to be involved?
Exactly.
I mean, but I think it becomes crazy because they're not sure of what they're doing. Yeah. So they're not being guided by coaches. And because the coach isn't there on tournament day, they're not answering their phone, or they just talk to me on Monday during the private lesson. They don't know how to handle these things. But why should they? They weren't tennis players. They weren't tennis coaches. They don't know what they're doing. Coaches need to teach them. And I think once parents understand where they are in the process, how they need to handle that weekend, what the goals are, what they should be looking for in their child, then I think they'll know the right things to look for, and they will de-stress. before the parent can become the crazy tennis parent,
Yeah.
the coach is right there next to them, talking
that.
to them, keeping them in order.
That.
They're talking to the child after the match,
Yeah.
not the parent. The parent can talk to the coach, but then the coach relays it. They'll talk to the player, so the parent never has to talk to the player, right? Which is
So
what it should be.
They don't
parent
have
can
to
just be
kind
the
of
parent.
take over for the coach. It becomes that kind of symmetry of the parent, coach, player relationship.
They can keep their role as being a parent a lot more, and they basically only need to be the organizer of the tennis for the child, not assistant coach.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it'll remove a lot of the stress for them.
I love that. And I really appreciate you coming on with the limited time that you have. Actually, it's almost 8:16, so we actually almost nailed that on the head. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel today. What should people be looking at when they look you up? Your website primarily?
My website primarily, because I have the most information there. I have blogs. Perfect. And you can really get the ideas and my mindset of how I look at things. Instagram, I'll put up some more videos, but I think you're going to get a lot more in depth of what my thoughts are on my website.
I definitely think so.
Obonetennis.com. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely check that out. Definitely subscribe to his newsletters and everything, because it's definitely worth reading every single word of it. So thank you again for joining. And it's free. And it's free.
It's free.
It's free. It's not that hard. People love free stuff. Yeah, people love free stuff. It's free.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining me today. I'll see you soon, and good luck to Riley at the Aussie Open.
All right. Thanks, man.